Hello friends, Adam here with FED. It's been a while since I've made a tier list and really just a video in general. But I was thinking about the characters of three houses and which magic class they fit best into. I initially thought I might do like the best class for every character, but then that just became kind of a lot. And I didn't feel like talking that much today, my throat kind of hurts, but I really wanted to make a video. So I want to talk about magic classes for every character. Now on screen you can already see that I have a bunch of characters in Trickster and Warmonk / War Cleric, and that's just because these characters I find are less interesting to talk about in this regard, as far as debating which magic class to put them in. But I still thought I should put them on here somewhere, and I think generally these characters are just like, yeah, put them in Trickster or Warmonk, or I guess if you want Mortal Savant. And really it's just because they're still physical classes mainly, right? that can use magic. Also Euretha, just put him in Death Knight because that uses magic as well, so technically magic class, right? So yeah. Alright, let's get started with all the other characters, huh? So on here I just have the master classes, advanced classes, and then the DLC classes. So Mortal Savant, Gramarye, Holy Knight, Dark Flyer, Valkyrie, Bishop, Trickster, and you know, Warmonk, War Cleric. I didn't put Warlock on here because I don't think anyone really should be in Warlock like ever. Warlock is a pretty, I mean not ever, but like I don't think anyone should settle in that class. I think if you're going to be in Warlock, you might as well move on to like Dark Knight or something if you can. So let's get started. Alright. Hubert. As you can see, male characters kind of get gypped here because a lot of these aren't even available to them, right? It's pretty disappointing, all things considered. So Hubert, in my opinion, you just throw him into Dark Knight. Higher move, really complements his magic set, you know, with Dark Tome Fair, all that. And yeah, just Hubert, high move, and then he has this 3-range magic at base, which is great. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot to say there. Just put him in Dark Knight. Linhardt, if gender locking wasn't a thing, I would say Gramarye, probably. But for him, I'm going to say Bishop. And that's solely because of Warp. You get 2 Warp uses if you're in Bishop. Which is really, really good. Warp is underrated by a lot of players. I think the community at large generally accepts Warp is really good, but I think there's a lot of players outside of the like main community that, or people like really just like the Fire Emblem fanatics, that underrate Warp. It's just really, really good. Even if you're not trying to beat the map in one turn, it's just incredibly, incredibly good. So yeah, Bishop, Linhardt for extra warps. All right, now we have our first really interesting one in my opinion. We have Bernadetta. Bernadetta, her magic list is actually really cool in that she gets a rescue. She also gets what's it called? Why can't I think of what it's called? Does she get bolting? Is that what I'm trying to think of? It's either bolting. I think it's bolting or meteor. Either way, she also gets pass as a skill for going into horseback riding, right? It's her budding talent there, which is just kind of opens up some fun shenanigans you can do with like pass and rescue. So I'm going to say put her into Holy Knight for that extra movement, and then you also have access to magic. So I think you could also make an argument for Dark Flyer being even better here because you can ignore terrain, which I might say. So yeah, actually I'm going to say that. I'm going to say Dark Flyer would be better here. I'm going to put her into Dark Flyer. It kind of sucks because you do, like, then you have to train her extra in flying and in horseback riding, I guess. So I don't know. Ease of use, I would say Holy Knight, but I think overall Dark Flyer would be better because flying is just broken. Alright, Dorothea. Dorothea is an interesting case because honestly her combat's not that great. She does have physics though, right? I know a lot of people like to make her a Mortal Savant because they think it's funny or good for whatever reason. Mortal Savant in general just isn't interesting to me, except for maybe a couple of characters. And ultimately, I think she fits best in either Gramarye. So it depends on what you want to do with her. Do you want a bunch of physic uses? Gramarye. Do you want a mobile healer and chipper? Holy Knight probably is what I'd go for. or potentially Dark Knight, and if you're not worried about having extra uses. Not extra uses, actually, never mind. Why would you ever go Holy Knight with her? Yeah, Dark Knight. Yeah. You could also make an argument for Valkyrie, I think, too, and that would also just like play into her her long range magic. I think it's Meteor. Give her +1 range on that. That'd be really funny, honestly. So, I think you could put Dorothea just about anywhere, and I think I'm gonna settle on Valkyrie just for the extra range. All right. Felix is another interesting one. And I think Felix, the only reason Felix is interesting is because he has a budding talent that gives him +10 crit, right? He has black magic crit +10 as a budding talent when he goes into Reason, which makes me, I mean, it's kind of like your basic pick for a magic unit for him, but I think it is his best option, just to land in Mortal Savant. Because it still has decent physical offensive stats, so yeah. Speed is a little lacking in Mortal Savant, though, which is rough, but it's okay. Alright, Sylvain. I don't really care all that much where you put Sylvain. I mean, I almost never do anything but Paladin, but if I had to do a magic class, I'd do Dark Knight. Although, Dark Knight's it's hard, because he gets Black Magic Avoid, right? So it's like, Dark Knight's okay, but like, to really make use of that Avoid, you want to speed your class. But so I'd be like, oh, put him into Dark Flyer, but you know he's a male, so you can't access Dark Flyer. So maybe Mortal Savant. But then, like, why are you training swords on Sylvain? So I think Dark Knight's probably his best place to sit. Mercedes. I think Mercedes, it's a pretty no-brainer to go Bishop or Gremory, depending on what you want. If you want the extra heals, go Bishop. Otherwise, I just go Gremory because it's just has better bases in general, and just a better class in general. She likes the extra uses of Physic and Fortify, so that's kind of her big thing. It's the 2x uses on her white magic. You can make an argument for Holy Knight for the mobility, but she doesn't really need it, because again, she has both Physic and Fortify, so she doesn't really need the mobility. She can heal from wherever, so Gremory is probably her best bet. And that's a hard one to place, because honestly, I don't think she is the greatest... offensive person, and she doesn't have Physic or any other incredibly useful white magic. So I think if I have to set her somewhere, it's going to be Dark Flyer. I know a lot of people have success with her as like a Wyvern Rider using either Crusher or using just like a Lightning Axe or something. So there's merit to that. But also just mobile Rally Bot is kind of my thought process here. So I think Dark Flyer would be her best magic class. And also, no one really talks about it either, but Dark Flyer is really easy to get into. It's just flying and dark magic, right? So that's kind of, or I should say, Reason magic. Alright, Ingrid. Ingrid's a weird one, because really she's only here for her Physic. That's the only thing that makes her really interesting as a magic unit, in my opinion. Otherwise, I think she's pretty lackluster. And I'm tempted to say Trickster, because Stealth would be really nice for her. You know, I think that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to put her into Trickster just for stealth, if nothing else. I think Ingrid, it can be pretty squishy at times, and if I have to have her in a magic class that's even squishier, then being able to put her in a place that's safely with stealth would be nice. So she could do some safe chipping that way. If you're looking for pure magic, though, I don't know. I'd probably say Valkyrie or Dark Flyer, but Trickster. Lorenz wants to be in one of those mixed classes because that's just kind of his character, right? So like you would think like Trickster or maybe even like War Monk, but I think overall, I think again it's kind of your basic pick, but I think Dark Knight is a solid spot to place him because you're going to want to work on Lance for Frozen Lance anyways. So Dark Knight just kind of inherently gets there for him. So yeah, I'm going to say Dark Knight. Ignatz is interesting because he gets Physic. That's basically all it is. He's never going to have the highest magic stat or anything in the world, so it really just comes down to what do you want him to actually like do. And I think Trickster is still would be his most interesting class. I think Ignatz and Trickster is his most interesting place because he gets all their good rallies, you know, and then stealth. So stealth rallying is kind of a funny tech, and I kind of like it. All right, Lysia, the big one, the head honcho of the Magic Crew, right? Like everyone's favorite. Where does she go? And I think there's some merit in 3 different spots. I think you throw her into Gramarye for extra uses of everything, including Warp. I think there's something to be said for... Get out of there. I think there's something to be said for her being in Darkflyer or Valkyrie. Darkflyer just for the movement. Valkyrie is really interesting to me though for the extra range. So Lysithea, we all know she's really squishy and she dies really easily, right? That's the main knock on her as a unit, and I get it. She is squishy. She's easy to kill. So I tend to gravitate towards Valkyrie for that range +1, and then add Thyrsus on top of that, or the Caduceus Staff, and she can just attack anyone safely, basically, right? So I think Valkyrie is probably her best bet as a combat unit. For utility, though, for extra warps, I say Gramarye. But overall, I think she's better as a Valkyrie. Alright. Marianne. I'm not going to think too hard about this one. I'm just going to say Darkflyer. She already has 3 range with Thoron, so I don't think she really needs the Valkyrie buff. Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing for Dorothea. Very similar units, honestly. So I'm going to say that. Hilda. She gets she gets bolting, so that's kind of like her one interesting thing. I'm tempted to say Gramarye for extra uses. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put her in Gramarye just so people skip to the end and go, oh, why would you put her in Gramarye? Flayn. Gramarye, kind of the catch-all, right? Gramarye is double the magic uses, which for her means extra rescues and extra fortifies, which is nice. Hanneman. Again, he's another one that I would say, oh yeah, I would totally throw Hanneman into Valkyrie or something and be totally baller. But Dark Knight will do. You could make an argument just to keep him into Warlock so you don't have to train other stuff, but might as well get him that extra movement of Dark Knight. Manuela is just so uninteresting to me as a unit. She doesn't get warp, so it's like Gramarye or Bishop, is like the pick, right, for extra warps. But if you want to make her a decent combat unit, it's like, what do you even do with her, right? It's like Mortal Savant, I know, is a hot pick. People like that. So I think ultimately I would throw her into Dark Knight if you want her to be a combat unit. Otherwise, I'd just keep her in Bishop, not even worry. Just like a set it and forget it kind of unit. Just put her in Bishop. Don't even worry about getting her all the way to Gramarye because that's a lot of work. But if we're talking about her best class, it's probably just Gramarye. I forgot to put Cyril on here. He just goes into, just so you know, he just goes in here. I don't know why I forgot. Yuritsa, I also forgot to put him on here, but like I said earlier, just Death Knight. Alright, Anna is literally just Bernadetta, except worse, right? Bernadetta with a crappy personal skill is what it comes down to. So, like her, I could see Holy Knight being interesting, but I think ultimately, if we're saying just the absolute best, then yeah, Darkflyer. Alright, Happy. Happy likes Valkyrie. Obviously, it's kind of her canon, quote-unquote canon class. But I think Gramarye is also really interesting for her. Her and Lysithea are both very similar units in my opinion, and you could go either way for both of them. So I have a hard time saying which one's actually better for the other. It really just comes down to, do you want double uses of everything, or do you want better combat? And I think ultimately she really excels in her combat, especially with her utility spells that you can hit from really long range with the extra range from Valkyrie. Really, really good stuff. Alright, Constance. I tend to think Constance is better in Valkyrie than she is in Darkflyer for the extra range, if nothing else. Gramarye is also an interesting pick for her, just because, again, extra uses on rescue. Always cool. But I think ultimately I'm going to say Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie might be the overall best magic class in the game. I know if you're min-maxing or whatever, going for the best stats possible, that's not the best class, I get it. But I think overall, with the range, and then it still has decent attack power and all that, it's really, really good. And Kanto, it's... especially on Maddening, where enemies deal so much damage and just are going to one-shot or two-shot pretty much all of your squishy mages, it's really nice to be able to have a long-range attacker that can also just run away after they kill things. So that is what I'm going to say. All right, there you go. There is my super quick and rushed idea of which class which magic class I should say every character should go into as their best class. I mean, obviously there's going to be differing opinion. People are going to have their own experiences. This is just kind of my thoughts. I just wanted to like say some words about Fire Emblem for a while, and this felt like a good way to do it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and let me know, what would you change? Which characters would you move? Which characters do you like in which classes? All that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time, friends.